All right, good morning, everybody, or good morning. I don't know when you're listening to this. It's another episode of JimmyCast. JimmyCast is sponsored by the wonderful folks at INSTORE magazine and JewelryStoreTraining.com, the Jewelry Store Training Institute, which is the best way to train your people. Weekly sound chunks that they can go and rehearse and practice. Yes. And, of course, it's the most comprehensive that I know of. It's the best. Why? Because I'm doing it. Anyway, welcome to JimmyCast. We have our wonderful co-host here, Doug Meadows, down in Marietta, Georgia. Good morning, Doug.
Hey, Jimmy. How you doing, man?
Good. This is how ready I am this morning. Okay?
I haven't gotten mine yet, but
this is not a product placement.
That's all faded.
This is not a product placement at all. This is, in fact, I'm not paid anything except I was given this free mug. For those of you that don't have video, I am drinking out of a Stuller mug.
There you go. Yeah, I forget about that.
Ashley, send us a check. Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
Let's tackle...
what
Jimmy, we're doing.
Well, before we start,
it's
been a while since we've had a chance to talk. I mean, I've kind of missed our banter back and forth a little bit, but
I know.
I hope you had good holiday seasons. We did here in Georgia, but it's been a while.
I had a really good holiday season. I have to tell you, I do get my retail itch scratched every once in a while because I do still work in jewelry stores. But I'm not gonna lie. I love my Christmases now. Anyway.
Anyway. All right. I'm sorry.
That is a little...
Let's not get distracted. Let's get back on topic.
Okay. Well, what we're doing every week, folks, is we are, or not every week, as often as we do these podcasts, is we are responding to questions that I get through jewelry store training and my consulting and also, cocktail conversations that happen at the bar at things like conclaves and conventions and things. And one of the biggest ones is, how can I find good people? Everybody wants to know how to find good people, right?
That's right.
Good people. And, Doug and I chatted a little bit about this on the phone before we had this podcast, and we predetermined that we're not going to have all the answers for you.
We are not experts in this area.
We are not experts in this area, but we are experts from the standpoint of we've done it, we've been there,
yes,
and we continue to do it, right?
That's right.
And so I think this is more or less a chat for everybody to hear some of the things that we've done and that have worked and good stories. So hopefully that. There are okay. So let's start off with how to find good people. Let's say the old-fashioned way. Okay, I'm 52 years old, and when I was out recruiting people, I was not going on an app. I was not going on a website. I was looking for them, finding them, meeting them.
You were putting an ad in the newspaper.
I was putting ads in newspapers. Exactly.
Yeah.
And, it's interesting, Doug. I just got to start it off by saying it's amazing the people that don't know how to fill out a resume or don't know how to fill out an application form or don't know how to dress when they show up to meet you for the first time. Doesn't it just kill you?
I could talk a whole podcast on that stuff, Jimmy.
Oh, my goodness. Right. And you know what? And so for JewelryStoreTraining.com, what we did is we went back to basics. Yeah. And I'm talking about how to dress, how to show up, how to be on time, things like that. But all right, so enough of that little rabbit trail. But what I did, and I think it's very similar to what you did, what you do, because you and I do it when you and I are together, and that is we go out to restaurants, we go out and about, we meet people that are in retail situations, we see how they react, and if we have a pleasant experience with them, we give them our card.
That's right.
Right?
See if they're, if they're open to maybe a new career.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of them are, especially if they're in the service industry, right?
Yeah.
Because let's face it, our jewelry stores mean we're not working till 11 o'clock at night.
Right.
In a lot of cases, we're not open Sundays. And so we have so much more to offer than I think a lot of service industries. So, jewelers know that you have that, and it's a wonderful thing. But what I loved about that, and it's what I love about it when you and I are together, especially, is you hand that card, and then you get that banter back and forth, and you see them as real as opposed to sitting in an interview trying to answer questions that they think you want to hear, right?
Right.
Or trying to give you the answers. So with your staff that you have right now at David Douglas Diamonds on Sandy Plains Road in Marietta, Georgia. Are you actually in Marietta? Is that actually the city that you're in?
That's the city that I'm associated with, yes. That's my address, yes. I am not in downtown Marietta, but we are in Marietta.
Is there a downtown Marietta?
We're not in downtown Marietta.
Oh, okay. No, I was asking you if there was a downtown Marietta.
Oh, there is. There's a beautiful downtown Marietta. It's got a beautiful square, and it's been filmed in many films, and it's really cool.
Oh, okay. So the staff that you have right now, how would you say that you got them? Can you tell us a little bit about the background of how you got your people?
Well, one of them I got from putting an ad on Craigslist. One of them I got from just sharing with some friends that I needed some help, and they said, well, hey, we know somebody, and so we hired him. One of them is just family, and they don't have a choice sometimes. Another one I got another one I got off of Facebook. Another one actually emailed me, and we sent up an interview and went through kind of a discussion, and she's a bench jeweler, and she already had a job with Tom Shane, making a whole lot more than I could ever pay her. And I said, listen, you need to take that Tom Shane job because there's no way I can touch it. She worked there for a month, quit, and then called me back up and said, hey, can we talk again? And so she's been with me. We're actually celebrating her 4th year of working here tomorrow. Okay. And then another one I got, again, from Facebook. Facebook's been surprisingly helpful and good. And
really?
Yeah. But, on the flip side, we have been kind of looking lately, and just before Christmas, we were looking for some help, and we tried everything, and we could not find nothing. And I don't know if it's just the times we're in or what. And, you're talking about filling out a application. I mean, if we do Craigslist, for example, you get bombarded. Or if you do some of these Indeeds or some of those other types of things, you'll get bombarded with resumes. And you got to filter through them. But I think the thing that we miss on that is the timeliness, that we have to be pretty fast at it. And but what we do is we would send out a questionnaire to them, and on one of the questions, for example, if we're looking for a salesperson, we send out this questionnaire, and one of the questions on the questionnaire is, hey, if we had 2 positions available, one where you're in the back office, maybe working with some inventory or doing some different things like that, or the other one was out on the floor selling, which one would you prefer or feels like fits you the best? And surprisingly, they're answering an ad for sales help. They're saying, oh, yeah, the back room's just me. I need that job.
Okay.
And so you don't even call them back.
Okay. Or if you need a back room position, then you call them back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But, anyways, it gets kind of comical, that they cannot fill out a application. But
yes.
That's another story.
Okay, so one of the things that I did that was highly successful, and I don't know if it was a stroke of genius or the situation at the time, but we were moving our store into a brand new building out of a downtown area, which was a pedestrian mall, a failed pedestrian mall situation. And the downtown and the mall connected to the downtown was sort of started on a downhill trend. So what I did is I went into the local big chain jewelry store, which was in the mall. That was a case. And I went in there and I took 3 or 4 of their staff. And that goes back to what I was saying at the beginning, is that, we have a lot to offer. It was really easy to convince them because now we had better products to offer. We had so much more flexibility in product that they could order, that they could, they felt as a salesperson that there was going to be much more potential to earn money because they had more control, more flexibility as an independent jeweler, right? And then, of course, the hours were fantastic, and we did expand those hours a little bit later, but that was just a good business decision. And so in my situation, I got 3 fantastic sales writers that I just robbed. I robbed, but it was easy to rob because I was the better looking girlfriend at the time, if you know what I mean, right? So that was easy. Now, okay, headhunters. Do you have any knowledge of success stories with headhunters?
I do not. I've never had any experience with them. And how about you? Have you?
Well, I have. I've heard of some folks. John Parker. I think if you Google John Parker, he's done some great things. John has found us, and this is not an ad. Again,
hey, can I give a shout out on John Parker real quick?
Yeah.
I think that Rod Worley with Inside the Jewelry Trade, he's got that radio podcast too.
Sure.
He did a whole interview with that guy, and it was really good.
Okay.
And so, anyways.
Okay.
Sorry about that. But.
Well, yeah, and those were serious situations where, how do I say serious? I don't necessarily mean serious, but when people are looking for a big gun or people are looking for a great manager, we hired Jason Druxman at Avenue Jewelers through John Parker.
Did you really?
And I think he's a partner in the store now, for crying out loud.
That was a win.
That was a huge win, and I got to know Jason. We're good friends, and anyway, but so there can be some success there, of course, right?
Right.
And not necessarily to say John Parker is the end all be all, but there are other people out there that that do a fantastic job. And I know Holly Weshy down in Florida has had a gentleman doing some things for her that has turned out pretty positively. So that's good. Now the other thing that I've had real success with is developing great salespeople from scratch.
Yeah.
Yep. Just find that great attitude and give them a fantastic training program like the Jewelry Store Training Institute.
There you go.
Little plug for myself. And honestly, something happened a number of years back when we went to a Friedman management program. And the Friedman thing was fantastic from the standpoint for me personally, in that I started to look now at systems of which we could train and systems of management, rather than just willy-nilly fly by the seat of your pants, do what you're thinking of, and I think that was the whole realization of, hey, I'm not necessarily great at this. I want to get great at this, so I'm going to go find somebody or hire somebody that is great at it and teach me how to do it. And that was what the Harry Friedman program worked. That's how that worked for me.
Right.
And then since then, I've begun to work with Brad Huskin in developing our training program because we wanted to tailor it much more towards the independent jeweler. And I think you manage your store and you train your people a little differently as an independent jeweler than you do, for example, as a shoe store, right?
Right.
They're so. Anyway,
Well,
I'm going down a rabbit hole here. But what I'm saying is, you can take people with the right attitude, with the right, with that good start right there. The people that know how to show up, that know how to dress, that know how to do their makeup.
Right.
Come to work, and you can train them to be amazing salespeople.
That's right.
In fact, one more thing, Doug.
Okay,
I just got to tell you.
Go ahead.
One of my favorite stories was taking a barista from just a local coffee shop to over a $500,000 a year writer.
Oh, wow.
And she just grasped that and ran with it.
Yeah.
So I really think I think in a lot of cases you can find amazing salespeople right inside your door already.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm sorry,
well,
I interrupted you.
You talked about training them, and we'll utilize your I think there's like 6 videos to get them up to speed really quick.
Right.
And then having a process to get them all trained, and just making sure that when you are training them, that you're not just checking them off the list and thinking that they got it. But
right.
On a whole nother note, I mean, some of the challenges as we are training somebody new is with the internet, with the knowledge of the internet today. I mean, I'll get people coming in that know more than I do about something, and it just blows me away what they learned about a specific product. I mean, I know a lot of stuff, but they'll come in and start talking about crazy, weird things that I have no clue of. And but anyways, but yeah, you're right. I mean, it's just getting those stealing people from different places, or getting them in here, and you can grow them and turn them into something. And I mean, we got one gentleman right now that's what we're doing. Is he was working at a shoe store, and it's like we brought him in, and he's needing a lot of training in the jewelry industry to get up to speed, not only in the jewelry industry, but also just in sales. When he was at the shoe store, he was just a ticket reader, and now he has to be a storyteller.
Right.
But
that's a beautiful, yes, a ticket reader versus a storyteller.
Yeah.
That is beautiful. That is beautiful. And then I had another thought, and that was divine intervention. There's always divine intervention.
Definitely, yes. So
which you employ from time to time.
There's been many a times where I just started praying, Lord, I need some help, and I don't know where to get it. I've been trying. You're going to just have to send me that right person. And Jimmy, honestly, I had this one girl, I prayed that prayer, and then a couple weeks later, I get this email from this little girl, and somebody was getting ready to leave, and Jen was panicking, and I go, Jen, it's okay. The Lord's never late, and He's never early. He's just always on time. And this girl emailed us and said, hey, I'd like to work in your store. I'm like, okay, my mom's a customer of yours. So we really rolled the dice on this one and went for it. But I was also kind of stepping out on faith and just saying, okay, this is what I prayed for. This is what showed up. Let me take it. And she turned out to be awesome. And she was with me for probably 6 years or so before she moved on. And we just really enjoyed having her. And that was Sarah.
There are people that want to work in your store.
Yeah.
There are people out there that want to work in in your jewelry business.
Some of them you don't want.
Some of you don't want. But I'm just enjoying a wonderful piece of dark chocolate here with my coffee. So sorry for sounding like I'm having my breakfast. But you know what? That's so. And I think we need to change our attitudes a lot as jewelers and saying, you know what? This is an amazing place to work. Mm-hmm. And if it's not, make it an amazing place to work.
Exactly, yeah.
And if it isn't an amazing place to work, word is going to get out. Mm-hmm. The people that work there are going to say, man, I just love it. And they're going to talk to their friends about it that way. And you're going to have people knocking on your door.
Yeah.
Just like you do. Mm-hmm. And a little divine intervention doesn't hurt, does it?
That's right, exactly.
Doesn't hurt. What am I talking about? I mean, if you... If He created the universe, I think He can find you a salesperson, for crying out loud.
Well, okay, so I gotta share one other thought. Is a friend of mine, he owns a sign shop, and he and I had a friend of mine that needed a job, and he had been in the industry. And basically it rolled down to the comment of, I asked him if he was needing any help right now. He goes, no, not really, but what do you got? He said, it's hard to find good help. And when that help comes, even sometimes if you don't need it at the moment, you need to grab it. And and so I was working late one night and just kind of sitting at the desk, and I was close to the front door, and it was probably like 7 o'clock at night, and this guy is pounding on my door. And I'm like, what's going on here, And so I let him in, and he goes, hey, my name's James. My pastor told me to come see you. And I'm like, okay. And so I said, well, let's have a seat. And so we just chatted for a long time. I mean, we had a lot in common, and he was a jeweler. He was working at a jewelry manufacturer that he just was not happy with at all. And he's like, I want to work for you. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, I'm thinking in my mind, how am I going to afford this, And then that statement from my buddy came along of, sometimes when somebody comes along, you just got to go for it, You
got to nab them up. Yep.
And so...
and you know what? A good person will more than pay for themselves.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
A good person, whether it's a salesperson or a bench jeweler or what have you.
And I mean, we ended up hiring him. We worked it out, and I mean, it was great. I mean, he was with me for, 12, 14 years, something like that, and was a great asset to the company, and so we loved having James.
A wonderful soul.
Yeah.
Just the person that you love to, enjoy being around.
Right.
And, when we're dealing with people's jewelry, I know him personally, and I'm thinking, boy, he's the person that, you want dealing with a lady who's in tears because her diamond is chipped or something.
Oh, yeah.
He's just fantastic.
Yeah.
So. Okay, and then we got to cover one other oddball one here that I thought of as I was driving up, and that is hiring good customers.
Yep.
Now, this is a bag of, what is it, a bag of worms. A can of worms. A can of worms.
Pandora's box.
This could be Pandora's box. It could be the greatest thing.
Exactly.
Now, the great thing about hiring good customers is the ceiling is off from the standpoint of affordability. They're going to show the best jewelry. They're probably going to have the highest ticket sales, right?
Yeah.
Because their believability and their pocketbook does not dictate. There's no caps on that.
Yep.
And I've had one situation where it's worked out famously, amazingly wonderful, and then I've had a couple other situations where it was a nightmare. And then they ended up not working out, and then not only did we lose a person that we've invested in, but we lost a good customer.
Yeah, that happened.
Has that ever happened to you? Has it ever happened to you?
I haven't lost a customer, but it. I mean, I've hired probably 2 customers that turned out to be fantastic, and then I hired one customer that, thankfully she bowed out on us. I didn't have to fire her.
Okay.
She just said, this isn't working out for me, and we said, okay, good.
Oh, man. Well, I don't know if we've covered it all today, but, we've talked about a little bit about online. We've talked about stealing from other stores. Don't steal from your other independents. Steal from the chains. They deserve it. Hiring good customers. I joke about that. Hiring good customers, which is the last thing. I don't know, man. I don't know if you want to go down that road. That's a crapshoot right there.
That is. It's kind of sketchy.
Headhunters. Yeah, find a good headhunter if you're looking for somebody to kind of run your store or be your top salesperson. Now, the headhunter thing, you bring in a ringer like that, it's going to take some time for them to get involved and settled into your store culture.
Yeah.
And that person is going to have to be famously, amazingly politically correct so that they don't just destroy your whole culture.
Yeah.
So, develop them from scratch. I love doing that. I love finding good raw people with the right attitude and developing them and then training them, find them from within. And then, of course, always be on the lookout. I think always be on the lookout, even like you said, when you've got a full staff of great people, you're always, we're just like Panera Bread Company and Olive Garden. We're always looking for good people, right?
Exactly.
I just saw it on the sign this morning. We're always looking for good people. So always be on that lookout and stay in that mode. And let's just, before we go, you and I are in our 50s, and you have to do that with finesse and grace, and I don't know what other word to say without saying you don't seem like a creeper or like you're trying to hit on them.
Right. Well, what I do is I let my manager do all the interviews and stuff like that. I mean, if she finds somebody that she really likes, then I'll step in and have the conversation or meet them or do whatever on a second interview. And then if we're getting really serious, a lot of times we like to just take them out to lunch or dinner and kind of have some fun with them and just kind of see how they act outside of an interview kind of a process. And you get to know a lot about a person sometimes just taking them out to dinner. And I definitely don't do it by myself. I mean, I'll take 2 or 3 other staff with me, and
beautiful.
I also get their feedback, get their input on that person. Because, I mean, you're right. I mean, it's hard to bring in new people with your culture, and everybody's like, standoffish and trying to figure them out. And, it takes a little time for them to fit in. But,
so bring your people in on it.
Yeah.
Bring your people in on bringing people in.
Exactly. I mean, and that's, we didn't even talk about that, but even just asking your staff if they have a friend or if they know somebody. Years ago, I had this one girl working for me, and I said, listen, you can't leave until you find me your replacement. And and so she goes, she laughed, but the day she was giving me her resume, or her telling me she was leaving, she also brought in her friend and said, here, I brought my replacement. You told me I had to bring in somebody.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And it's funny too about hiring from other stores is that a lot of times somebody comes over and says, "This is really neat. My 3 girlfriends or my friends over there. Do you mind them too?" And like, yeah, bring them on over. Yeah. So. Okay, my battery is dying on my camera, so you know what? Let's wrap this up.
Sounds good.
But you know what? I think we covered some neat things here, and I think we've given people ideas. But if you stay in the mode, and I think you always have to stay in the mode.
Yeah.
And I think, good people will come to you. And I'll also work on developing and training your staff and developing a team that is excited and have a great place to work.
Yeah.
And if you have a great place to work, I think there's going to be a lot of people wanting to come and work at your store.
You'll be attractive, so it'll work.
All right. Is it time to open your store yet?
It's Monday. I'm closed.
Oh, it's Monday. You're closed. I thought it was kind of quiet around there. All right. Now go take Mary out to Whole Foods and take her out for breakfast.
Sounds good.
All right. See you guys.
Bye.